Good morning, dear students. Welcome to Diksha Online. Today we are going to study about the synopsis of electrochemistry and few problems. So first concept is electrolysis. So electrolysis is the decomposition of an electrolyte by the passage of electricity or electrical energy. The process of electrolysis are governed by Faraday's law. Faraday's first law of electrolysis. The mass of the substance deposited or liberated at the electrode during electrolysis process is always directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through the solution. The formula is W is equal to ZIT, where I is nothing but current strength in amperes, time is T in seconds, and Z is the constant of proportionality, which is called as electrochemical equivalent. If I and T are equal to 1, then W is equal to Z. So if I and T are equal to 1, that means we are passing 1 coulomb of electricity. So electrochemical equivalent is the amount of substance liberated by the passage of 1 coulomb of electricity. So electrochemical equivalent is the mass of the substance deposited by the passage of 1 ampere current for 1 second, that is deposited per coulomb of electricity. So Z is related to normal equivalent mass E. So E divided by 96,500 will give us electrochemical equivalent. Faraday's second law of thermoelectrolysis. On passing equal quantity of electricity through different electrolyte solutions, and the quantity of substance liberated or deposited at the electrodes is always proportional to their respective equivalent masses. Suppose I have two different electrolyte solution and pass same amount of electricity through it, and weight of first substance deposited say is W1, weight of second substance deposited is say W2, then I can write W1 proportional to E1 and W2 is proportional to E2. Since the proportionality constant should be same, if I write W1 by W2, I get it as E1 by E2. That is Faraday's second law of electrolysis. Conductivity of electrolyte solution. So the conductivity of electrolyte solution is also dependent on the resistance offered by the electrolyte solution for the passage of electricity. So the resistance offered by the solution is proportional to distance between the two electrodes and inversely proportional to area of cross section of the electrodes. So if I maintain unit distance between the two electrodes and unit area of cross section of the electrodes, then the resistivity whatever offered by the solution is called as specific resistance or resistivity. If I take the reciprocal of this specific resistance or specific resistivity, I will get what is called as specific conductance or conductivity. The specific conductance is the conductance offered by the solution enclosed between two electrodes of unit area of cross section and separated by unit distance. So the distance between two electrodes can be 1 centimeter or can be even 1 meter, and area of cross section can be 1 meter square or it can be 1 centimeter square. So basically the solution enclosed in this volume would be either 1 cc or 1 meter cube of the solution. So specific conductance is always the conductance of either 1 cc or 1 meter cube of the solution, and specific conductance is always 1 by resistance. So specific resistance, so Ck here is called as cell constant. Cell constant is nothing but L by A value, that is L is the distance between the two electrodes and A is the area of the cross section of the electrode. So this L by A is a constant value for a given conductivity cell, that is called as cell constant. So L by A by resistance will give us specific conductance. Molar conductance. So molar conductance is the conductance of the solution which contains 1 mole of the electrolyte. Here the volume does not matter. So if I take say 1 molar solution, then 1 liter will contain 1 mole of the electrolyte, then the conductivity of 1 liter of solution is nothing but molar conductance of solution. If I have 0.1 molar solution, then 10 liters will contain 1 mole. So the conductivity of 10 liters of 1.1 molar solution will become molar conductance. So basically it is the specific conductance is for 1 cc multiplied by the volume containing 1 mole of the electrolyte. So if I take lambda, I can write kappa, that is specific conductance, into volume of solution which contain 1 mole of the electrolyte. So if I take 1 by V as concentration, if I take V is in numerator, so lambda can be equal to kappa by concentration C. So here we have a formula 1000 kappa by C. This 1000 value depends on the unit of lambda and kappa. If lambda is in Simon centimeter square per mole, then kappa is in Simon per centimeter, then this formula is valid. If I take meters, then what happens? If I take kappa in Simon per meter, lambda is in Simon meter square per mole, then the lambda will become kappa by 1000 C. 1000 goes to denominator. So this 1000 factor can be in numerator, can be in denominator depending upon the units of lambda and C. But generally we use centimeter only. So standard formula can be lambda is equal to 1000 kappa by C. Equivalent conductance, it is same as molar conductance. The only difference is instead of mole we take gram equivalent of the electrolyte. So equivalent conductance is the conductance of all the ions present in a solution containing 1 gram equivalent mass of the electrolyte. So it is given by 1000, lambda is equal to 1000 by kappa into C. So here C is nothing but, so 1000 kappa by C, C is equal to normality. So it is not 1000 kappa by C, this is wrong. Lambda is equal to 1000 kappa by C, kappa by concentration. So there also I think 1000 kappa by C. So kappa is in numerator, kappa by C is the general formula. 1000 can be numerator, 1000 can be in denominator depending upon lambda and kappa values. C is always molar concentration or normal concentration. If it is equivalent conductance, it is normal concentration. If it is molar conductance, C will be molarity. Variation of molar and specific conductance with dilution. So generally the specific conductance of a solution will decrease with dilution because it is 1 cc of solution. The conductance of 1 cc of solution will be the specific conductance. So number of ions per unit volume decreases as we go on diluting solution. So specific conductance always decreases with dilution, but molar conductance always show an increase with dilution. Now for strong electrolyte, the molar conductance gradually increases because already the electrolyte is completely dissociated. The only factor which favors conductance is the movement of the ions in diluted solution. So in diluted solution, ion movement becomes more and more free. So the conductance increases gradually and it reaches a limiting value at infinite dilution. So we get the limiting value called as lambda infinity or lambda 0. Lambda 0 means 0 concentration, lambda infinity means infinite dilution, both are actually same. So lambda infinity or lambda 0 is the symbol for that limiting value of molar conductance. But for a weak electrolyte, the dissociation is less at normal concentration. If we go on diluting, the degree of dissociation also increases, producing more number of ions, and also the movement of ions also become more and more free. So the molar conductance of a weak electrolyte increases rapidly with dilution. So we cannot get that limiting value through experimental data. Suppose I take a graph of lambda versus root C. For a strong electrolyte, it will be a straight line. You'll get a straight line like this. So you can extrapolate this to meet lambda infinity. This is for strong electrolyte. So experimentally I can determine 4-5 values of lambda for different concentrations, say 0.1 molar, 0.01 molar, 0.001 molar, 0.0001 molar. So I get 4 values, plot the graph, get a straight line, extend to meet the y-axis, I can get lambda infinity value. But for weak electrolyte, the value at higher concentration is very less. It increases almost very rapidly like this. This is for weak electrolyte. So I cannot extrapolate this graph to meet y-axis. So I cannot find out lambda for weak electrolyte experimentally. And for that purpose, we have Kohlrausch law. So Kohlrausch law says at infinite dilution, each ion will make a definite contribution to the conductivity of solution, irrespective of the other ion present in the solution. That's why it is also called as Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions, and it is applicable only at infinite dilution. Now for an electrolyte, the conductance at infinite dilution is equal to sum of the ionic conductances of constituent ions. So irrespective of the nature of the electrolyte, whether it is a weak electrolyte or a strong electrolyte, I can always write lambda infinity of the salt is equal to lambda infinity of cation plus lambda infinity of anion. So if I know the weak electrolyte, say acetic acid, if I want to find out, I can write lambda infinity of acetic acid is equal to lambda infinity of acetate ion plus lambda infinity of H plus ion. So I need to get the ionic conductances of these two ions using the salts which contain these ions, because all salts are strong electrolyte. So I can find out the molar conductance at infinite dilution for strong electrolyte. Using those values, I can get lambda infinity of acetic acid. Application of Kohlrausch law, degree of dissociation of the electrolyte, and also finding the lambda infinity value of weak electrolyte and the solubility product of the electrolyte. Okay, so taking these two now. See, molar conductance of the solution of weak electrolyte is determined at the given concentration. Experimentally, we can determine the lambda C value. So using Kohlrausch law, we get the lambda infinity value by using the ionic conductances at infinite dilution. So lambda infinity is equal to lambda infinity plus lambda infinity minus. Once I get lambda infinity value, the degree of dissociation is always given by alpha is equal to lambda C by lambda infinity. Lambda C is for the given concentration, lambda infinity is complete dissociation. So lambda infinity alpha, whatever alpha is there, that is proportional to alpha itself, and at lambda infinity means alpha is equal to 1. So alpha at given concentration is always given by lambda C by lambda infinity. But for strong electrolyte, they are complete dissociated at all concentration. There is no degree of dissociation, but still lambda infinity is not equal to lambda C. Lambda infinity is greater than lambda C. This ratio is just called as conductance ratio. That is not indicating degree of dissociation for strong electrolyte. But for weak electrolyte, degree of dissociation is lambda C by lambda infinity. Same way we can find out solubility product. The specific conductance of the saturated solution of the salt is determined experimentally. So we can find kappa value of the solution, assuming the saturated solution to be infinite dilution, because the solubility of the salt of a sparingly soluble salt is extremely less. The solution is extremely diluted. As a result, the saturated solution of the sparingly soluble salt, I can take it as infinitely diluted solution. Then lambda infinity I can calculate using Kohlrausch law. So we know lambda is always equal to 1000 kappa by C. Since I have equated lambda to lambda infinity, then this C is nothing but the concentration of the saturated solution, which is nothing but solubility. So solubility I can write as 1000 kappa by lambda infinity. So I know the kappa value from experiment. Lambda infinity is calculated by Kohlrausch law. I can get solubility. Once I get solubility, I can find Ksp of the salt. Ionic mobility of the ions. So ionic mobility is basically the distance traveled by an ion under unit potential gradient. So what is this unit potential gradient? So 1 volt of potential difference applied between two electrodes separated by 1 centimeter distance. So if you apply that is called as unit potential gradient. So ionic mobility is always proportional to the ionic conductance. So lambda infinity is always proportional to U, and proportionality constant is nothing but Faraday, 96,500 coulombs. So lambda infinity plus is F times lambda infinity is equal to U plus. Sorry, it is lambda infinity is equal to F into U plus. It is other way around. The proportionality constant should be on the other side. So lambda infinity minus is equal to F into U minus. So U minus is my ionic mobility. If I multiply ionic mobility by 96,500, I get the corresponding ionic conductance. Transport number. So transport number is the fraction of the current carried by an ion in the electrolyte solution. So we know T plus C is nothing but fraction of the current carried by cation. So lambda infinity is proportional to current carried by cation itself, and lambda infinity plus lambda infinity minus is the total current carried by the both the ions in the electrolyte solution. So T plus is given by lambda infinity plus by lambda infinity plus lambda infinity minus, and T minus is given by lambda infinity minus by lambda infinity plus lambda infinity minus. So ionic conductance of cation by total of ionic conductance of cationic and anion will give you transport number. If I take for any salt, T plus T minus is always equal to 1. Then since lambda infinity is proportional to U plus, so my ionic mobility, if I divide both numerator and denominator by 96,500, I get this expression. So T plus is ionic mobility of cation by total of ionic mobility of cation and anion. T minus is ionic mobility of anion divided by total of ionic mobility of cation and anion. Conductometric titration. So conductometric titration, generally we take volume of the base added and acid is taken in the beaker where we are determining the conductance. For strong acid and strong base, both are completely dissociated. So we are replacing H plus ion, very highly conducting H plus ion, by low conducting Na plus ion. If I take HCl versus NaOH, then HCl is neutralized by NaOH. So H plus being replaced by Na plus. So Na plus is less conducting than H plus. So conductivity goes on decreasing sharply. Then after the end point is reached, you are adding more NaOH. It introduces OH minus ions to a solution. Among all cations, H plus ion is highly conducting. Among all anions, OH minus is highly conducting. So since we are adding OH minus ion, the graph again goes in the upward direction. So the intersection of these two lines will give the end point. So end points is determined graphically. So we need not take utmost care near the end point. Just go on adding 1 cc of NaOH every time, note down the conductance and plot a graph at the end. We get the absolutely correct end point of the titration. This is for strong acid and strong base. First take weak acid and strong base. So again we are adding strong base from the burette, weak base in the beaker. So initially weak base is present, the conductivity is less because of less ions are being present because of very less dissociation of the weak acid. The moment you add say acetic acid and NaOH, if I take, gives acetic sodium acetate and H2O. Now acetic acid is weak, which is having very low number of ions, so conductance is low. As I add NaOH to this, it produces sodium acetate, which is salt completely dissociated. You have more number of ions. So the conductance of solution gradually increases, not rapid increase, gradual increases. Once all acetic acid is completely neutralized, the amount of NaOH what you are adding will introduce OH minus ion, so it will increase again more rapidly. So intersection of these two will give the end point. Okay, so first increases gradually and then increases rapidly. Now weak base and a weak acid. So if I take CH3COOH plus NH4OH produces CH3COONA NH4 plus water. So initially acetic acid is present, which has low conductance. Ammonium hydroxide you are adding. So ammonium hydroxide will neutralize acetic acid to form ammonium acetate, which is a salt. So undergo complete dissociation. So introduces more number of ions. The conductance gradually increase. But after the end point, when this is completely neutralized, the extra base what you are adding, ammonium hydroxide, the solution already contains ammonium ions in plenty. The dissociation of ammonium hydroxide will be suppressed. As a result, there is not an appreciable change in the conductance, more or less it remain constant. So point of intersection gives us the end point. Okay, this is for weak acid and weak base. We can do even precipitation titration. So best example we take normally is KCl and AgNO3. Gives KNO3 and AgCl. So AgCl is getting precipitated. Initially I have only KCl in the reacting mixture. So you are adding silver nitrate to this. So Cl is replaced by NO3. So Cl minus and NO3 minus have almost same conductivity. So there is no appreciable change in the conductivity. So it will go on almost remaining constant. But after KCl is completely removed, you are adding more of AgNO3, introduces more number of ions, the conductance gradually increases. So the end point is the point of intersection. So I can find out the end point of titration of precipitation titration also. Mixture of strong and weak acids with a strong base. So similar the combination of the two graphs. So the first is always, if I take acetic acid plus HCl, this is titrated versus NaOH. Now initially strong acid only will neutralize. So you can see the curve drastically coming down. When HCl is completely neutralized, it starts neutralizing acetic acid. Since acetic acid is a weak acid and forms salt in the solution, so it will be giving more number of ions relatively. So the gradual increase in the conductance we can see. After acetic acid also completely neutralized, there is a rapid increase in the graph because of excess OH minus ion is introduced. The first end point is for neutralization of HCl. The second end point is for the neutralization of acetic acid. Like that we can find out the end point for two different species in the same titration. Electrochemical cells. Electrochemical cells are the cells when electrical energy can be converted to chemical energy or vice versa. So electrolytic cell and electrochemical cell, the two cells are there. Electrolytic cell is the one where electrical energy is converted to chemical energy, and galvanic cells are the cells where chemical energy is converted to electrical energy. So through a chemical reaction, electricity is produced in galvanic cell. With the help of electricity, we carry out a chemical reaction in electrolytic cell. In electrolytic cell, anode is positive, cathode is negative. In galvanic cell, it is reverse, anode is negative and cathode is positive. But in both cells, oxidation occurs at anode and reduction at cathode. So the sign convention is opposite, process are going to be the same. Daniell cell. So in Daniell cell we have a combination of copper electrode and zinc electrode. So in case of zinc, we have zinc and zinc sulfate, copper and copper sulfate. We have dip a salt bridge and connected to a bulb. So the moment we set up this, zinc will start undergoing oxidation, and copper 2 plus ions will undergo reduction. So if I take the overall reaction, zinc plus Cu2 plus gives rise to Zn2 plus Cu. This is the overall cell reaction. So electrons are lost by zinc, so it will go through the external circuit and comes to copper electrode, and near the copper electrode electrons are accepted and forms the copper metal precipitate on the electrode. Now the two half cells are connected by a salt bridge, you can see here. This is nothing but a salt bridge. So salt bridge will be establishing the electrical contact between the two half cells, and also it is used to maintain electrical neutrality of solution, plus to eliminate liquid junction potential. And in Daniell cell, IUPAC convention for EMF is equal to any cell, it is always E naught of cathode, that is positive electrode, minus E naught of negative electrode. This is IUPAC convention for EMF of any electrode, any electrochemical cell. So EMF of galvanic cell, IUPAC convention given here. So EMF copper, EMF zinc, so 0.34 minus 0.76, 1.1 volts. And remember one more thing, we always you have to use only reduction potential. So the equation should be reduction. That is also convention of IUPAC. So only reduction potential to be used in all calculation. Role of a salt bridge. The salt bridge is used to get electrical contact between the two half cells, and also it is used to eliminate liquid junction potential. When two liquids come in contact with each other at the junction, there develops additional potential which can add to the electrode EMF of the cell. So to avoid that potential, additional potential, we use salt bridge. It will avoid the contact between the two liquids and still maintain the electrical contact, and also it is used to maintain electrical neutrality of the solution. And moreover, the salt bridge is always prepared by using the salts like KCl and ammonium nitrate, because these ions, the cation and anion, both have almost same conductance or same transport number, same ionic mobility. In KCl, K plus and Cl minus having almost same conductivity, so there is no higher conductivity of one cation to one anion. So we use the salts which are having almost same ionic conductance. Standard representation of galvanic cell. So according to IUPAC convention, the anode is always written to the left and cathode to the right. The Daniell cell is represented as this. Zn gives Zn2 plus, concentration is 1 molar, and the double line indicates salt bridge. The salt bridge is in contact with copper ions in the solution, and copper ion solution is in contact with copper. So according to the contact, we write the electrode representation. So Zn2 plus 1 molar salt bridge, copper 2 plus 1 molar and copper. This is the standard representation of galvanic cell. So zinc is anode here, which undergo oxidation. Copper is cathode, which undergo reduction. So irrespective of whether the cell is working cell or non-working cell, whatever representation is given, I have to take the left hand side electrode as cathode, left hand side electrode as anode, and right hand side electrode as cathode. Reference electrodes. So reference electrodes are used to find out the electrode potential of other electrodes, and reference electrodes are the electrodes whose potential is already known to us. Again, there are two types of reference electrode here. One is primary reference electrode, and the electrode whose potential is just arbitrarily fixed. No other primary reference electrode is there. It is only standard hydrogen electrode. The standard hydrogen electrode is called as SHE. This is the only primary reference electrode what we use. And secondary reference electrodes are those electrodes whose electrode potential is found out with respect to SHE. So example, we have so many calomel electrode, Quinn hadron electrode and glass electrode are some of the examples for secondary reference electrode. We have AgCl electrode also under secondary reference electrodes. SHE, standard hydrogen electrode, we can see clearly here there is a platinum foil on which hydrogen gas gets adsorbed, and the platinum foil is connected by means of a copper wire for establishing the electrical contact here, and this is immersed in a solution HCl 1 molar solution, and a gas of hydrogen is at 1 atmosphere, 101.325, nothing but 1 atmosphere pressure. So we pass H2 gas 1 atmosphere. The representation of the electrode is we have platinum in contact with hydrogen at 1 atmosphere. The hydrogen gas is in contact with H plus ion in 1 molar concentration. Then salt bridge will be there for the other electrode to combine. This is the representation of hydrogen electrode. So the equation for reduction potential is 2H plus 2 electron gives H2. This is the reduction reaction happening in hydrogen electrode. There is an equilibrium between the hydrogen ion and hydrogen gas. So for this, E naught of H2 is taken to be 0 volts. Convention, we take standard electrode potential of hydrogen as 0. So standard electrode potential means when the electrolyte concentration or the metal ion concentration in the solution, it should be equal to always 1 molar. So if I take zinc concentration, zinc 2 plus ion at 1 molar, it is standard zinc electrode. If the concentration is not equal to 1 molar, then it is just a zinc electrode, not a standard zinc electrode. Types of electrodes, we have metal ion type, that is what I said, zinc 2 plus, copper 2 plus. Metal insoluble salt and anion, that is one more type. Gas ion and redox electrode. So metal ion type means you have zinc Zn2 plus, copper 2 plus. Metal insoluble salt means I have Ag in contact with AgCl solid in contact with Cl minus. So this is the contact. Silver is in contact with silver chloride, which is in the solid form. That means it will have a saturated solution of AgCl, and the solution is nothing but either KCl or NaCl taken along with the AgCl salt. Gas ion, hydrogen electrode is the best example. Hydrogen at 1 atmosphere is in contact with H plus ion in aqueous medium. This is gas ion type electrode. This is metal insoluble salt and metal ion type. Redox electrode is the one where I have both ions, Fe2 plus in equilibrium with Fe3 plus. So the solution contains both ferrous as well as ferric, and we dip inert electrode for contact, like platinum electrode we use for electrical contact. The reaction is between Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus. So redox electrode is the electrode where the electrolyte solution contains two oxidation states of the single metal ion. These are the types of the electrodes. So calomel electrode is one of the example for secondary reference electrode, which belongs to metal insoluble salt and anion. So we have mercury as the metal in contact with HgCl2, mercury chloride, or even Hg2Cl2 also can be used, mercurous chloride, and the amalgamated mercury, then it is going to be KCl. So KCl I can use 1 molar, or even I can use saturated KCl solution. So depending upon the concentration of Cl minus in the solution, the value of calomel electrode potential has been standardized. So this can be connected to salt bridge. If I connect some other electrode on the other side, I will get the electrochemical cell. So calomel is a very commonly used reference electrode which is belonging to metal insoluble solvent anion type. Same way we have AgCl electrode also as a secondary reference electrode. So here also you have Ag metal in contact with silver chloride. Silver chloride solid is in contact with KCl aqueous solution. So KCl aqueous solution, you can see clear KCl solid means it is saturated. So this is KCl aqueous and AgCl is there, and silver metal is also at the top. So silver metal is towards the bottom coated with silver chloride salt and it is dipped in saturated KCl solution. So it is also belonging to metal insoluble solvent anion type of electrode. Very commonly used secondary reference electrodes. Nernst equation. So Nernst equation is an equation used to find out EMF or electrode potential of the single electrode. So it is given by E is equal to E naught minus 2.303 RT by NF into log Q, where Q is the reaction quotient of the cell reaction. Now at equilibrium, E cell becomes 0. I can write E naught is equal to minus 2.303 RT by NF log K. Okay. For a single electrode, the reduction potential is given by E is equal to E naught minus 2.303 nRT RT by NF into log of 1 by concentration of metal ion. If I take plus here, it becomes log of metal ion concentration. So one convention you can follow, this is the only convention you can follow, whatever the reaction given, it may be cell reaction, it may be a single electrode reaction, write down the reduction reaction for single electrode, write down the cell reaction for the given cell, use Q as the terms. Q you can easily get from the equilibrium constant representation, substitute in this equation. So don't follow any other formula. If you stick to this and always follow this log Q, you can get the right answers. For Daniell cell, we know zinc is getting oxidized and copper is getting reduced. So zinc plus 2 plus Cu, Zn2 plus by Cu. What is Q here? Zn2 plus by Cu2 plus. So if you substitute that here, E cell is equal to E naught cell minus 2.303 by RT, N is 2f log of Zn2 plus concentration by Cu2 plus concentration. And at 298 Kelvin, you need to know that 2.303 RT by F, this is equal to 0.0591, very commonly used 0.0591 by 2 into log of Zn2 plus by Cu2 plus. Prediction of spontaneity of a cell reaction. So for a spontaneous reaction, all of us know from thermodynamics, delta G must be negative. So what is the relation between delta G and E cell? Delta G is equal to minus NF E cell. N is number of electrons involved in the cell reaction, F is the Faraday value 96,500 and E cell is the EMF. So delta G is negative means E cell has to be positive. So if E cell is positive, the delta G is negative and the cell reaction is always spontaneous. If E cell is negative, delta G become positive and the cell reaction will become non-spontaneous. And at equilibrium, always E cell is equal to 0, delta G becomes 0, the reaction will be at equilibrium. Electrochemical series. So it is the arrangement of various electrodes in the increasing order of their standard reduction potential values. So SRP values, we say negative reduction potential to start with and go to positive reduction potential at the end. It's an increasing order. And the order is actually decreasing order of chemical reactivity of various metals. So the metal at the top will be more reactive, metal towards the bottom will be least reactive. And also it is a decreasing order of reducing power of the metal. So the metals at the top are very strong reducing agent because they can undergo oxidation easily, and metals towards the bottom will undergo reduction easily. So they are not at all good reducing agents. They are better oxidizing agents. And in between we have hydrogen with a zero potential. So above hydrogen the metals will have negative value for reduction potential, and these metals can liberate hydrogen from dilute acids. So whichever metal present above, so hydrogen is there, you have above you have zinc, aluminium, magnesium, all the active metals are present above hydrogen, so they are all able to liberate hydrogen from dilute acids. Below hydrogen we have copper, silver, gold, platinum. So these are the metals which cannot liberate hydrogen from dilute acids. So the metals which are below hydrogen have positive reduction potential values and do not liberate hydrogen from dilute acids. Because if you combine hydrogen electrode and any electrode, so you take hydrogen as cathode and other one as anode, or whichever combination you make, the one which is present above will always get oxidized, the one which present below will always get reduced. So if you combine two electrodes, you can see whether the cell reaction is spontaneous or not. So all the metals above hydrogen, if you combine with hydrogen electrode, if hydrogen electrode is taken as cathode and other metal electrode as anode, the cell reaction is spontaneous, so they liberate hydrogen from the acids. The metal in the series can displace another metal present below it from the salt solution of the latter metal. So if I take zinc and copper, zinc is above, copper is below. Zinc can displace copper from copper sulfate, but copper cannot displace zinc from zinc sulfate. Silver is below copper in the series. Copper can displace silver from silver nitrate solution, but silver cannot displace copper from copper sulfate solution. That's the meaning of this statement. And the spontaneity of cell reaction can be predicted using the electrochemical series. So electrochemical series, you choose any two electrodes, make one as cathode, other one as anode, apply the EMF convention. If you get EMF positive, the cell reaction will be spontaneous. If the EMF of the reaction what you get will be negative, the reaction will not be spontaneous, but opposite reaction can be spontaneous. So we can predict the spontaneity of a cell reaction using electrochemical series. So we have one, it's called as Latimer diagram. Latimer diagram will show us the different oxidation reduction potentials from one oxidation state to other oxidation state. So it will indicate the relative stability of the different oxidation states of the single metal. So in this given example, we can see very clearly iron is changing to iron 2 plus and iron 2 plus changing to iron 3 plus. So Fe2 plus to Fe reduction potential is negative, minus 0.44, means oxidation potential is positive. Fe to Fe2 plus is feasible because it is oxidation. Reduction potential is negative means oxidation potential is positive, and here reduction potential is positive. So reduction potential is positive means oxidation of Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus is minus 0.77, which is not feasible. So Fe to Fe2 plus is feasible and Fe3 plus to Fe2 plus is feasible. So which is very clearly indicate Fe2 plus is more stable than Fe3 plus in the acid medium. Okay, so Fe2 plus is more stable. That's why when we dissolve iron in sulfuric acid, we get only ferrous sulfate, we don't get ferric sulfate. So ferrous sulfate is more stable in acid medium than ferric sulfate. So Fe2 plus is thermodynamically more stable compared to Fe3 plus. So that can be estimated using this Latimer diagram. Concentration cells. Concentration cells are the cells having two electrodes which are same electrodes and have different concentration of the electrolyte solution. So if I take Zn zinc electrodes, two zinc electrodes are combined, one is at C1 concentration, other one is at C2 concentration. If you apply the same Nernst equation, E0 cell will be 0 because E0 cell of cathode and anode both are same, E0 of zinc minus E0 of zinc. So for all concentration cell, E0 cell will be 0. So E cell is equal to minus 0.0591 by 2 into log of Zn2 plus anode concentration by cathode concentration. If you change the minus, minus to plus, it becomes concentration at the cathode compartment by anode compartment. So if the concentration at the anode compartment is more, if C2 greater than C1, then E cell will be positive. The cell reaction is spontaneous. So C2, the cathode compartment concentration should always be greater than anode compartment concentration for a concentration cell to be working cell. If it is not a, then you have to reverse the signs, that is connection should be reversed. So a cathode always have higher concentration than anode. Batteries. Batteries are the devices which can produce electricity due to a redox reaction. So a redox reaction happening in the battery can produce electrical energy. There are two types of batteries or cells. Primary cells. Primary cells are the cells where they cannot be recharged, and secondary cells are the cells where the battery can be recharged and electricity is passed from the external circuit and the battery can be recharged. So best example for primary cell is dry cell. Secondary cell best example is lead acid battery. Dry cell. So all of us know dry cell, very commonly used pen torch batteries. So here the dry cell is having anode as zinc container. Zinc will convert into oxidation to Zn2 plus 2 electron, and ammonium ion present in the battery will act as cathodic reaction. So NH4 plus will become ammonia and hydrogen. So the ammonia which is produced can combine with zinc to form the complex ZnNH34 plus. That is why it cannot be recharged. If ammonia is present in the reacting system, again if you pass, the ammonia can convert back to ammonium ion, because ammonia formed here combining with zinc ion forming a complex which is highly stable, so it won't be able to give ammonia back into the medium. As a result, you cannot recharge the battery. And hydrogen produced will combine with MnO2 is also present in the battery, which will be absorbing hydrogen to get MnOOH compound. So basic reaction is zinc container acting as anode and ammonium salt which is present along with the carbon for electrical conductance. The ammonium chloride salt which is present acting as the cathode. So carbon is in contact with ammonium chloride. The carbon rod at the center will act as the cathode. So this is a dry cell. So this cannot be recharged because ammonia produced no longer remain as ammonia. It will convert into complex with zinc. Lead acid battery, secondary cell. It is the most commonly used secondary cell. It is used in car batteries, UPS connections, and the reaction plays while discharging R. So you can see clearly Pb reacting with sulfate ion becoming PbSO4 plus 2 electron, this anodic reaction, and PbO2 will combine with H plus and sulfuric acid to become PbSO4 and H2O. So you can clearly see the overall reaction Pb plus PbO2 plus H2SO4, 2H plus SO4 2 minus becoming PbSO4 plus H2O. Okay, so here basically if you balance, it becomes 2H2SO4 PbSO4. There are 2 PbSO4, so it should be 2 H2SO4. It should be 4H. PbO2 is there, it should be 2H2O. It's not balanced, so it should be 2H2O and 4H plus and SO4 2 minus. So totally you get 2H2SO4 for 2 electron change. So the equivalent mass of sulfuric acid in this reaction is equal to molecular mass. It is not behaving as an acid, it is a redox reaction here. So it is just taking Pb to PbSO4 or PbO2 to PbSO4. That's the role of sulfuric acid. So sulfuric acid equivalent mass is equal to molecular mass in this reaction. And the charging and discharging depends upon the density of the solution in the electrolyte, in the battery container. So the sulfuric acid consumed during discharging, and in charging the sulfuric acid is going to be formed. Corrosion, it is a phenomena where metal is chemically attacked by constituents present in the atmosphere. So rusting of iron is an electrochemical phenomena. So as we said earlier, iron exposed to moist air, it can undergo oxidation. So first is always formation of ferrous ion. It doesn't form ferric ion directly. So 2Fe gives 2Fe2 plus 4 electron, and the constituents of atmosphere, that is water and oxygen present in the atmosphere, become OH minus. So this is the cathode and anode. If I take for this reaction, E cell will be positive. Reaction takes place spontaneously. Further, the formed Fe2 plus can be further oxidized to Fe3 plus. So if I take this combination also, E cell will be still positive. As a result, this reaction also takes place, and finally Fe3 plus formed will convert into hydrated ferric oxide, which is known as rust. Since Fe3 plus is a secondary product, it is not a primary product, iron will not be able to make a protective layer of iron oxide. So it is a secondary product, it will get peeled off, iron will continue to rust as long as it is exposed to moist atmosphere. So these are the synopsis points what I thought I will discuss. Now we will take example. Example 1, a current is passed through 2 voltmeters connected in series. The first voltmeter contains XSO4 aqueous and second has Y2SO4. The atomic masses of X and Y are in the ratio 2:1. So ratio of masses X and Y liberated at the electrode is. So here we have two compounds and we are passing same electricity through both the solutions. We have the XSO4 and Y2SO4 as the two components. If we go to the solution, so we know XSO4 sulfate ion is 2 minus. So here equivalent mass will be atomic mass by 2 because valency is 2 for X. If I take same thing for Y2SO4, here equivalent mass equals atomic mass. Okay, so we know atomic mass of Ma is to Mb equals 2:1. So Ma is nothing but, if I take Ea equivalents, so Ea is to Eb is equal to Ma by 2 is to Mb. So Ma by 2 means 2 by 2 is to 1. So it is 1:1. So equivalent mass of both the atoms are same. So once I say equivalent mass are same, the passage of same electricity will have same mass of both the elements deposited the electrode. So ratio should be 1:1 for the electrode deposition. So answer should be A. Example 2, we have a cell copper 2 plus Ag plus initially containing 2 molar Ag plus and 2 molar Cu2 plus ion in 1 liter solution. The magnitude of change in potential of the cell when the cell is charged by passing external current 10 ampere for 4825 seconds at 298 Kelvin. Okay, so we'll see the solution for this. The cell given is Cu2 plus anode, Ag plus bar Ag. What is the cell reaction? Cu gives Cu2 plus 2 electron. So since N is 2, I have to take 2 Ag plus, accepting 2 electron reduction, it's a cathode, becomes 2 Ag. So the cell reaction will be Cu plus 2 Ag plus gives rise to Cu2 plus 2 Ag. This is the cell reaction when it is operating as a galvanic cell. Now I'll take the same reaction. Now we'll find out the current which is being passed. When I take the current passed is 10 ampere, for 4825 seconds. So number of coulombs is equal to 48250, or if I divide number of Faraday 48250 by 96500, it becomes 0.5. So I am passing 0.5 Faraday of electricity through the solution. So what happens? So if I take Cu plus 2Ag plus gives rise to Cu2 plus 2Ag. This is a cell reaction as galvanic cell. If I pass external current, always a reverse reaction will take place. So initial, this will be 2 moles, this will also be 2 moles. After passage of 10 ampere for 4825 seconds. So time is equal to 4825. So reverse reaction takes place. This copper 0.5 Faraday means 0.5 equivalents. So N factor for copper is 2. So 0.5 equivalents is 0.25 moles. So 2 becomes 1.75. And for silver it becomes 2.5. This is the concentration after number of moles after passing the current through the electrolyte solution. Now using this concentration we have to find the EMF. So what is EMF? So E is equal to E naught minus 0.059 by N into log of Q. So log of Q will be what? Concentration of Cu2 plus by concentration of Ag plus whole square. So if I take E1 initial, E naught minus, so I'll take this as 2.059 by 2 log, both are 2 molar, 2 by 2 square. So 2 by 4 means 1 by 2. So if I make this as plus, E1 is equal to E naught plus 0.0591 by 2 into log 2. So that is the EMF in the beginning. Okay. So what happens after? So the concentration now has changed. So if I take E2, if I take E2 is equal to same E naught minus 0.0591 by N into log of concentration of copper is 1.75 divided by 2.5 whole square. So if you find out the value, so first one this will become 0.0165 and E naught. Okay. E naught I am not given because I cannot calculate. I don't have the standard electrode potentials of both the cell, so I not required also. This is E2. What is E1 we wrote earlier? E naught minus 0.0591 by N 2 into log of 1 by 2. So 1 log 2, this if I take this plus, so it's going to be E naught minus, this will be if I take 0.06, it's 0.3, it becomes 0.009. Okay. So if I take the difference E2 minus E1 or E1 minus E2, delta E 0.009 minus 0.0165, so it becomes 0.0075, 0.00165, not 0. 0.00165, this is 0.009, so 0.0075 will be the answer. So if I go for solution options, 0.0074 is the nearest, option A. Example 3, 1 molar aqueous solution of silver nitrate, copper nitrate, gold nitrate are electrolyzed using same amount of electricity. If 0.1 moles of copper is deposited, the number of moles of Ag and gold deposited equal to. So let us say the three salts. We have AgNO3, we have copper NO3 twice, we have AuNO3 thrice. So this is Ag plus, this is Cu2 plus, this is Au3 plus. So I am getting 1.1 mole. So if I am getting 0.1 mole, since charge is 2, the number of Faraday will be 0.2 F. If 0.2 Faraday is passed for Ag, I will get 0.2 moles. For gold, it is 0.2 by 3, this many moles. So 0.2 by 3 is 0.0666 recurring. So answer should be 0.2 and 0.066. We'll see the options. So 0.02, 0.066, D is the answer. Example 4, which of the following statement is not true for the electrolysis of 1 molar Ki to which phenolphthalein is added? So it is a conceptual question. If I take the Ki is being electrolyzed, so just like any sodium or potassium halides are being electrolyzed, if I take the reactions happening at the electrodes, so Ki will give K plus plus I minus. So at anode, I minus will lose electron, become I2. But K plus is an active metal which has a very high negative reduction potential, so it cannot reduce in presence of aqueous medium. So in cathode, at cathode, H plus get reduced from water. So the solution becomes K plus and OH minus. So H plus is going out from water, OH minus will be left to the solution. So solution becomes basic. As the time progresses, the pH value goes on increasing. It becomes more and more basic. Now in the solution we have a small amount of phenolphthalein also. So pink coloration will be observed because basic medium is formed, pink coloration is observed, and the hydrogen gas will be liberated at cathode, iodine is formed at the anode. So iodine can dissolve in aqueous solution near anode to give yellow solution. So if I see the option, a yellow solution at anode is a possibility, a pink color appearing at cathode is also a possibility, and a potassium metal is deposit cathode is not a possibility. A gas is liberated at cathode will be hydrogen. So it is asking for not true, so answer should be C. So potassium cannot be deposited. Example 5, a standard problem. The specific conductance of saturated solution of AgCl is 3.4 10 power minus 6 Simon per centimeter. The ionic conductances are given for Kg plus and NaCl minus. Solubility of AgCl they are asking. So standard problem. We'll go to solution. So we have kappa equal to 3.4 into 10 power minus 6 Simon per centimeter. Then lambda infinity is equal to ionic conductance of both 62.3 plus 67.7. So this comes to 130 Simon centimeter square per mole. So this is lambda infinity. So we know solubility is equal to 1000 into kappa by lambda infinity. If you substitute that, 1000 into 3.4 into 10 power minus 6 divided by 130. If you simplify this, I'll get this as 2.61 10 power minus 5. This is S. If they ask you to find KSP for AGCL, it is AB type. So KSP is equal to S square. It will be in the order of 10 power minus 10. So here they are asking only solubility. Answer should be 2.6 10 power minus 5. So option should be A. Example 6. Acetic acid is titrated against NaOH conductometrically. Which of the following statement is correct? So it says titration of weak acid against a strong base. So we just learned all the graphs, weak acid against strong base. So we'll see the options. Conductance increases up to equivalence point, then it decreases. No. In case of weak acid strong base titration, the observation was the conductance gradually increases, reaches the equivalence point. Because of more NaOH being added, it will increase more rapidly. So conductance decreases, which is wrong. So I can go to the other two options. So you can clearly see here, conductance increases slowly up to equivalence point and then it rapidly increases. This is the correct statement. If I see the fourth one, conductance increases rapidly up to equivalence point, then increases slowly, which is wrong. So option C should be the right answer, conceptual question. Example 7. The equivalent conductivity of KCl at infinite dilution is given as 130 Simon per centimeter square per equivalent. The transport number of Cl minus ion is 0.505. What is the ionic mobility? That is U plus they are asking for. Okay. So we'll see the solution. So we have potassium chloride. So we know T plus T minus is equal to 1. So I know T minus as 0.505. So T plus is equal to 1 minus 0.505. It comes to 0.495. So the fraction of the current carried by cation anion is almost same. So we know that lambda infinity plus is equal to T plus into lambda infinity of the salt. Because lambda T plus is lambda infinity plus by lambda infinity so what is T plus 0? T plus is equal to lambda infinity plus by lambda infinity of the salt. If you cross multiply, I get this. So lambda infinity of the cation, potassium ion, is equal to 0.495 into 130 is given for AgCl. If I take this, it comes to 64.35. Now we know that lambda infinity divided by Faraday value will give us the U plus. So U plus is equal to lambda infinity by F, which is equal to 64.35 by 96,500. This will give us 6.6 into 10 power minus 4 as the ionic mobility. 6.66 10 power minus 4. So we'll see the options. .67 10 power minus 4. Option A is the right answer. Example 8. The standard reduction potential of the electrodes given below. Which of the following statement is incorrect with respect to quantitative estimation of ferric nitrate? So we have given with these values, MnO4 to Mn2 plus is 1.51, Cr2O7 to Cr3 plus is 1.38, Fe3 plus to Fe2 plus is 0.77, Cl2 to Cl minus is 1.40. So we'll just go to the solution part of this. We'll see the option later. So the data I'll write down. So we had MnO4 minus to Mn2 plus as 1.5 volts. Cr2O7 2 minus bar Cr3 plus. The voltage is 1.38. Then Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus to Fe2 plus. Reduction potential only, so 0.77. And Cl2 to Cl minus is 1.40. So I just have to see the combination whether I can use MnO4 minus or Cr2O7 2 minus for the estimation of ferrous ion. So if I say ferrous is converted to ferric, that is anode, and MnO4 minus Mn2 plus is cathode. So EMF is equal to, so E of Fe3 this is anode, right? MnO4, I would write MnO4 minus bar Mn2 plus minus E of Fe3 plus bar Fe2 plus. So this is 1.5 minus 0.77. So I don't have to see the value, it is positive. So this can work. Same way, E is equal to E naught of dichromate Cr2O7 2 minus by Cr3 plus minus of E Fe2 3 plus bar Fe2 plus. So this is also equal to 1.38 minus 0.77. So that is also positive. This also will work. That means both dichromate ion and permanganate ion can oxidize iron to iron 3 plus. The only thing we need to see the chlorine, whether these two can oxidize chlorine also. So if I take E of MnO4 minus to Mn2 plus minus E of Cl2 bar Cl minus. So this is 1.5 minus 1.4 is plus 0.1. So positive possible. So last one is equal to E Cr2O7 2 minus Cr3 plus minus E of Cl2 bar Cl. This is 1.38 minus 1.4 becomes plus minus 0.02. So this is not feasible. So permanganate can oxidize chlorine HCl to chlorine to Cl2 to Cl minus, and Cl minus can be oxidized to chlorine in by MnO4, but dichromate cannot oxidize chloride to chlorine gas. That means in the options, if I see MnO4 minus can be used in aqueous HCl, which is not possible, because if I use MnO4, it will oxidize Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus, but it will also oxidize Cl minus to Cl2. So dichromate can be used in aqueous HCl, which is very much possible. MnO4 minus can be used in aqueous H2SO4. H2SO4 cannot be oxidized, so either MnO4 or dichromate I can use in H2SO4, because sulfuric acid is already at the highest oxidation level, it cannot be further oxidized. So B, C, D all are possible. A is the one which is not possible. So the wrong statement is A. Example 9. The EMF of the following cell is, so you have given two hydrogen electrode, one is having pH 5, one is having pH 7. So cathode is pH 7, anode is pH 5. So we need to know one concept. For hydrogen electrode, EH2 is always equal to minus 0.059 in 591 into pH. Directly we can use this formula, minus 0.0591 pH. So I have cathode minus anode. So E cell is equal to minus 0.0591, cathode is 7 pH, minus of minus 0.0591 into 5. So if I take minus 0.0591 as common, I get 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. So 2 into 0.0591 is minus 0.118 volts. That should be the EMF of the hydrogen electrodes which are combined. So option should be C. Example 10. The solubility product of silver iodide is 8.3 10 power minus 17 and standard potential of Ag plus is 0.8. So what is the standard reduction potential of Agi I minus electrode? It's a standard problem, we need to know. Go to solution. So we write the cell. So it's going to be Ag in contact with Agi in contact with I minus, salt bridge, Ag plus bar Ag. This is the cell what we have to consider. So anode reaction is Ag plus I minus gives Agi solid plus electron. This is anode, and Ag plus electron gives Ag is the cathode. If I take the overall reaction, Ag cancels, electron cancel, I get Ag plus I minus gives rise to Agi solid. So what is Q? Q is equal to, or K is equal to, if I take equilibrium constant K is equal to 1 by concentration of Ag plus into I minus. So if it is equilibrium, it is nothing but 1 by Ksp. That is the first part. So we get 1 by Ksp, we have to find out the E cell. So since it is at equilibrium, E cell will be 0. So E cell is 0. So E naught cell is equal to 0.0591 by N into log K. So E naught cell is cathode minus anode. So E naught of Ag plus bar Ag minus of E naught of Agi bar I minus is equal to 0.0591 by 1 into log of 1 by Ksp. So I know this value, this is 0.8 minus E naught of Agi bar I minus is equal to 0.059 by 1 into log of 10 power 17 by 8.3. So if you calculate this, I'll get this as 16.08 log value into 0.0591. So 0.8 minus this E naught value is equal to 0.95. So E naught of this is equal to, this will go towards left, E naught comes to right. So minus 0.95 plus 0.8. So minus 0.15 volts will get for the standard reduction potential of the silver iodide electrode. So we'll see the options. So answer is D. Example 11. At what ratio of Br minus to CO32 minus does the following reaction have attained equilibrium? So Ksp is given for both. Okay, we'll see the solution. The cell given is Ag2CO3 solid with Na2CO3 in salt bridge then KBr, then AgBr, then Ag. This is solid. So 2 metal insoluble salt anion type of electrode. So I have KSP values, so I can find the concentration of Ag. So concentration of Ag plus whole square into CO3 2 minus is equal to KSP. So what is Ag plus in the left hand side? So root of KSP by CO3 2 minus. This is 1. Here Ag plus into Br minus is equal to KSP. So here Ag plus is equal to KSP by Br minus. Okay. Now what is given? We need to take equilibrium, and also they are telling EMF should be equal to, sorry, E cell. Equilibrium means E cell should be 0. So at equilibrium E cell is 0, and for concentration cell E naught cell is 0. So both are 0 now, so this ratio is equal to 0. So what is the formula for the Nast equation for this particular cell? So if I go with the Nast equation, E cell is equal to E naught cell minus 0.0591 by N into log of concentration of Ag in the cathode, anode by cathode. So anode is carbonate. So I'll write KSP log K will write first. So E cell is 0, this also 0. So minus 0.0591 by N log K equals 0. So since everything is 0, log K should be equal to 0, or K should be equal to 1. So if K is equal to 1, what should be the K value? So K is nothing but ratio of Ag plus on both sides. So K is nothing but Ag plus in anode by Ag plus in cathode. So this K is nothing but, anode means carbonate, so Ag plus left hand side would be root of KSP by CO3 2 minus divided by KSP by Br minus. Since both are equal to, K is equal to 1, I can equate the two terms. So I can equate the two terms. So I can write Br minus by KSP of AgBr is equal to root of CO3 2 minus by KSP of either the ratio, whatever the ratio, I can take KSP of Ag to CO3. Okay, so both I have taken reverse. Yeah. So if I write Br minus by root of CO3 2 minus is equal to, so I can write KSP of AgBr divided by root of KSP of Ag2CO3. This we have to substitute. Okay, so I'll write the solution in the next slide. So Br minus by root of CO3 2 minus is equal to 4 into 10 power minus 13 by root of 8 into 10 power minus 12. So 10 power minus 12, if I take the square root, it's become 4 by root 8 into 10 to the power, this becomes 6 and minus 7. So I can write 4 as 8 as 2 root 2. So this I can cancel 2 times. 2 by root 2 is nothing but root 2 into 10 power minus 7. And that's the answer. We'll go to the options. So option should be B. Example 12. In which of the following cells the KCl salt bridge can be used? So KCl salt bridge, if I use, what happens? So in the salt bridge, what happens is, if I take the example of Daniell cell only, so I'll just illustrate the salt bridge concept. So I have taken, say, let us say you have zinc electrode. This is zinc sulfate, and you have copper sulfate. So you are connected by means of an electrical bulb wire, and you have dipped a salt bridge now. So it is getting oxidized. Zn gives Zn2 plus 2 electron, and here copper 2 plus accept 2 electron become copper. So with time what happens? Zinc ions concentration increases here. Zn2 plus increases, but sulfate ion remains same. So to maintain the electrical neutrality from the salt bridge, if I use say KCl salt bridge here, to maintain electrical neutrality, potassium ion enter into the cell. So here K plus ion, sorry, Cl minus ion will be added. So more of Zn2 plus ion are present. To maintain the electrical neutrality, there are no negative ions. So Cl minus ion get into the solution in the LHS. Same way here, copper ion getting decreased, Cu2 plus ion get decreased. So from here you get potassium ion coming into cathode. So the ions are getting into solution to maintain the electrical neutrality. Now in the given cells, if I use KCl, Cl minus which is getting into the cell should not precipitate the salt. So that means I should not have any electrode which can form a precipitate with chloride. So I'll see the options now. So if I take KCl salt bridge can be used in the following cells. So I have silver nitrate here. So silver nitrate can form AgCl as a precipitate, and lead is there. Lead can form precipitate of PbNO3, PbCl2, and here also lead is there. So all three cannot be used. So here see I have copper and gold. Auric chloride is already dissolved salt. This I can use KCl salt bridge. So whichever cell has an electrode having an ion which can form a precipitate with either K plus or Cl minus, I cannot use the salt bridge. So answer is C. I can use A, B, D. I cannot use it. So answer is C. Example 12, example 13. Which of the following is correct with respect to molar conductance of the electrolyte? So first option, it increases with increase in temperature, very correct. Molar conductance will increase with increase in temperature. Then B, it is experiencing resistance due to vibration of ion at mean position, not very clear statement. I'll see the check other two. Increase in the concentration, decrease the molar conductivity for both strong and weak electrolyte. So increase in concentration or decrease in concentration, if I take, it will increase the molar conductivity, but if you increase the concentration, definitely molar conductance decreases for both strong and weak electrolyte. It's a correct statement. This is a correct statement. Greater the polarity of the solvent, greater is the molar conductivity. So greater the polarity, in water the ions are split very much and ions are able to move in the polar solvent. So greater polarity of the solvent, definitely the conductance will be more. This also correct. So the only option left is B, which is not the correct statement. So answer should be B. A, C, D is the answer because they are asking for correct statement multiple. So A, C, D are right. Example 14. Which of the following changes will increase the EMF of the following cell? So the cell is given copper sulfate with a hydrogen electrode. So we'll see what and all uh, factors can increase the conductance, EMF. We'll go to the next equation. So we have copper 2 plus H plus H2. So according to this, one second. So this is anode according to the given representation, and this will be cathode. Okay. See, EMF, if I take EMF is equal to E naught minus 0.0591 by N into log of Q. So if I take Q, Cu is getting converted to Cu2 plus 2 electron, and H plus getting converted to hydrogen. So if I write Q equation, the cell reaction, Cu plus 2H plus gives rise to Cu2 plus H2. So log Q is equal to, Q is nothing but concentration of Cu2 plus pressure of H2, it is a gaseous compound, divided by concentration of H plus whole square. So if I increase Q, it is going to be minus. So E is equal to E naught minus something log Q. So it is going to decrease. So I have to decrease the Q value. That means I can increase H plus, I can decrease copper ion, I can decrease the pressure of hydrogen. So these three can be, as Q decreases, E will increase. So if I do that, I have to increase the concentration of H plus or decrease the concentration of copper and pressure of hydrogen. So we'll see the options. So by adding ammonia to anode, if you add ammonia to anode, ammonia will combine with copper ion. So NH3 will combine with Cu2 plus, forming CuNH3 twice 4 complex, cuproammonium ion. So ammonia concentration, ammonia adding copper will decrease. So this will be one factor. Increasing the partial pressure, no, it had to decrease the partial pressure because this is the numerator. By adding diluting copper sulfate at anode, yes, it is possible. If you increase H plus ion by adding HCl, which cannot be done. So answer A and C will increase the EMF by decreasing the Q value. So one way to decrease Q value is increase the increasing the concentration of H plus. Yeah, that will also work, I think. Increase the concentration of H plus. For cathode, I am increasing the concentration. So it should be A, C and D. All three are there. Increasing the partial pressure, not possible because pH2 is in the numerator, to decrease it. Ammonia, copper concentration should be decreased, so it can be done by adding ammonia or directly decreasing copper sulfate concentration. So it is by diluting, not adding, by diluting HCl, so it's only A and C. If it is adding HCl, then it is correct. It is by diluting HCl, so it is only A and C. So answer whatever written is correct. Example 15, it's a matrix match. So you can see it is Zn2 plus C1, Zn2 plus C2. So it is a concentration cell and given C2 greater than C1. If C2 is greater than C1, I can map it to P. A is for P, spontaneous cell reaction. Working cell representation, that is also possible for A. And cell backward reaction, no, it is not correct. Concentration cell is correct. PQS for A. For B, Definitely again it is concentration cell, both are hydrogen electrode, but right hand side I have 0.1 molar, left hand side I have 1 molar. Though it is H2SO4, it becomes 0.2 molar for H plus. Still C2 is less than C1. So it is not a working cell, it is not a spontaneous cell. Cell reaction work in a backward direction is correct. So R I can map and S I can map. Copper and Ag. Copper is above Ag, so this is a working cell. Copper can displace Ag from AgNO3 solution. So this is a working cell representation, spontaneous cell reaction, but it is not a concentration cell. So it is P and Q. AgCl, KCl, 0.1 Ag. So again here it is a concentration cell. I can take it as a concentration cell because both sides have Ag plus concentration. So Ag plus concentration towards left is very less because of sparingly soluble salt is present. The C2 is greater than C1. So again I can map for P, Q and S. Same as A. So A is PQS, B is RS, C is PQ and D is PQS. So that is the answer for the given matrix match. Okay. So these are the questions what I thought I'll discuss with you in this electrochemistry session. Hope this is useful for you. Thank you.